Well, Israel has several options if its leaders want to launch retaliatory strikes against Iran. And while Western leaders have urged restraint, a significant assault is expected nonetheless. Possibilities could include strikes against military, economic or even nuclear targets, as per analysts. Although Joe Biden has said that he told Benjamin Netanyahu's government that the US would not support the last option. But for further clarity, we have with us Middle East expert Dr. Waiel Awwad and former Ambassador Yogesh Gupta joining us on the broadcast. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time for us. Dr. Awwad, to you first. We are reading reports that Israel is likely eyeing Iran's oil and perhaps nuclear facilities as it determines its response to Tehran's missile attack. Sir, do you believe Tehran is likely hoping there will be some restraint at this point?
Good morning, Parmeshwar. I think you have already stated in your beginning of the program the surge and the worries and the disturbance of the region if there is a wider war breakup, because this is going to be a regional war where Israel would like to drag the United States into an open war in this region, and everybody will be affected. It's not only the Iranian oil installation will be affected, even the Arab, the Gulf country will be a retaliatory attack if American use any of the military bases on those countries to attack Iran. That is what is the scenario, and I think that will be a huge impact. And India will be one of the major countries infected, not only because it's a main stakeholder in this region in terms of oil and food security, but also because of the Indian diaspora. So the situation is very grim. And if America give the green signal for Israel to attack Iran again, I think then we are heading for a retaliatory attack by Iran again, and that will be devastated, more devastated. Any attack or even a nuclear installation of Iran, that will be a counterattack by the Iranian into the nuclear Israeli site in Daimuna, where they are the undeclared nuclear state, and that will be devastated not only for Israel but only for us as neighbors, because the radiation will be devastating. And I don't see any reason why the Americans should even accept a sort of a limited attack on Iran at the time when we know that everybody in this area does not want a war.
That's true. And in fact, that sentiment has been echoed, that no one is interested in a wider regional escalation of what's going on. Ambassador Gupta, take us through how a direct Israel-Iran conflict is likely to impact India. Dr. Awwad has already touched upon it briefly, but if we could delve deeper into how it's a direct Israel-Iran conflict is likely to impact us in India.
Well, before commenting on that, I just want to add one point to what the last speaker has just said, which is that the situation is not entirely in the hands of President Biden or under the control of President Biden. Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel, he doesn't listen much or doesn't care much for President Biden. And even if President Biden were to sort of urge him not to indulge, he may still go ahead and, make a hit against the Iranian oil well. So that is something that we have to keep under review. Now, as far as the question that you have asked, you see, this situation can really become very grim and very, hugely dangerous. Because if Israel attacks Iranian oil facility, then Iran has threatened to attack the oil wells of the Gulf countries, which are particularly close to the United States, and also the U.S. military bases. There are so many U.S. military bases in Bahrain, in Qatar, in Saudi Arabia, and so on. So the situation can take a very dangerous turn. It may impact us in the sense of availability and price of oil, price of gas, so many commodities that we are exporting to the Gulf, things that we are importing from the Gulf. Our large Indian community, we have millions of people in the Gulf countries, their security, the question of trade, transportation, through the Gulf, supply chains which are going through the Gulf countries. It will create havoc, with the economy. It will affect our currency, as our cost of imports go up, the rupee will come under pressure, the rupee will show depreciation. There may be difficulties in getting oil from the other sources in adequate quantities and on time, So this can really create havoc.
Right. Dr. Awwad, at this stage, do you agree with the assessment that Israel is then in a position to start a war with Iran and drag the United States into it, as we have seen, but Israel is in no position to end that war?
Absolutely. They wanted to drag Iran for long. Parmeshwar, you remember when they attacked the Iranian consulate in Damascus?
Yes.
And that was a violation of Geneva Convention, and Iran retaliated. So therefore, the same thing in July when they killed Ismail Haniyeh, the American and the other countries, they have sent their officials to meet with the Iranian counterpart, and they have convinced them that there will be a ceasefire in Gaza and do not escalate the situation, because the United States is not interested in a war. It is only Netanyahu and his right-wing government wanted this war to come. So if you think that starting a war is an easy task, it's not. You can start, but you don't know when and where it will end. And that is what we have been saying. What happened is the United States, yes, I fully agree with Ambassador Yogesh when he said the U.S. is handicapped. Actually, the United States have given the upper hand and blind eye support to Netanyahu to continue his onslaught on the Palestinians. Look what happened for the last 1 year. This is totally destroyed Gaza. 2.5 million people has internally displaced. 90% of the infrastructure has been destroyed, flattened by the Israelis. And did they achieve their objective? No. Now he's trying to turn Lebanon into the medieval age and like Gaza. So if that is the situation, the world cannot keep close eyes and leave this havoc continue in this part of the world. We needed to make a stoppage and take it seriously. Any sort of an attack and reaction going to affect us all. We are living in a region where we are at the brink of a major catastrophe, and I don't think anybody is sensible person should go for a war at this stage of this disaster. And Netanyahu trying to open more front because he wanted to escape the humiliation of Gaza episode, and also he wanted to ensure his longevity on staying on the chair, and that's where he is, because after killing Hassan Nasrallah, after killing Ismail Haniyeh, his popularity has raised. But after the Iranian attack, they brought the equilibrium back to the balance. So there is no questions now of you going again and get that ecstatic movement in your heart that you are able to achieve your aims militarily. There is an absence of a political comprehensive framework to solve the problem. Military cannot solve the problem in the Middle East.
Absolutely, that has been highlighted by many geopolitical analysts and watchers as well, sir. Ambassador Gupta, so is it then fair to say that Iran and Israel are now emerging as the two main great power rivals in the region? And is the rest of the region basically bystanders at this stage?
Well, Iran and Israel, they have always been two major powers besides Saudi Arabia in the Middle East. But what has happened is that now they have come to a situation where they are sort of ready to fight directly. In the past, they have fought through proxies. But now they are willing to fight directly, against each other, and that is dangerous because both have considerable capabilities. Israel more so with the backing of the United States. And the Biden administration is in a situation that while it is doing everything for Netanyahu still doesn't listen to them. And then once the situation gets going tough for Israel, then Biden administration is forced to come to Netanyahu's side. So we have a very difficult situation for the United States.
Right, Dr. Awwad, meanwhile, we've just heard that Iran's Supreme Leader, Mr. Khamenei, is expected to give his first public sermon in 5 years. He last led the Friday prayers back in 2020 after Iran had fired missiles at a US Army base in Iraq. How are you seeing this? It also comes 3 days before the one-year anniversary of the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza.
I think it will continue the same line of an anti-Israeli expansion policy, an anti-Israel war on Gaza, and an anti-Israel war on Lebanon, and also wanted to send a message not only to the Israelis and to the rest of the world, but even to the regional parties, that we are not interested in war, we are interested in peace, provided you give the Palestinians the right of existence, a coexisting state. I think these are the messages, because everybody taking advantage of the American election, and first is Netanyahu. He continue with this war, and if he can drag the United States into this, I think America will be at jeopardy. They will not be able to stop the Iranian from attacking this time. So I think he will be more reasonable in addressing the issue. And I think after the loss of Hassan Nasrallah, who was supposed to be, was very close to his heart, I think he will have more emotion to put and pour into the street, where the anger in the street in the Arab world is already rising. But Parmeshwar, in the last 1 week now, we have seen the loss of more than 2,100 Lebanese have been killed. The amount of bombing going on inside Beirut at the moment, devastating. And we can see the bomb, which is even tactical nuclear bomb, has been used. I don't think anybody can imagine what could be the situation if this is continuing. And Iran will not stand by and watch this scenario, because the whole world of the Western world, including the United States on the lead, are supporting Israel. So they cannot leave Lebanon on its own to face this much of horrendous crime again.